Now, a lot of times I'll hear men and women say, don't box me in, don't try to put a label on me. But that's actually one of the trends that's coming up this year. And I want to talk about the impact that that could have on your personal style. What's up, all you good fellow fly guys? It's the Cat in the Hat, your resident fly guy, your chief architect, Michelangelo of StarArchitects.com, here to help you align your image with your identity so that it always leaves a lasting impact. Now, here on this channel, we talk not only about the psychology behind the how-tos and the different trends that you are seeing, but also how you can incorporate that into your wardrobe. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, please consider subscribing. I would love to be a character in your lifestyle story. If you have already subscribed, then you know I appreciate you. And now, all you have is one more thing left to do, and that is hit that notification bell, and that way you'll be notified each and every time new content comes out. Now, today is Trending Thursdays, and if you've been rocking with me for a little bit, then you know that we were doing Trending Thursdays before. We were talking about what is trending either on social media or the different types of trends that you could be paying attention to. And this week we're going to be talking about the latter. If you have been keeping up with men's fashion as well as women's fashion, then you know that Men's Fashion Week was earlier this summer and Women's Fashion Week was only a few weeks ago. And I know I'm probably dating myself and we're not supposed to do that, but that's neither here nor there because it comes around every season. But one of the trends that I was seeing in menswear was labels making a resurgence. The brand showing off its logo on its clothing. Now, we tend to see this about every 5 to 7 years anyway, whether it is your main staples, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Fendi even was doing it for a little while. All of these different brands have their logos plastered on jackets, on pants, on shoes, and people tend to wear that. And I wanted to talk about the importance of understanding what it means to tie yourself to a label, to label yourself, and then what that does for your wardrobe as well as for the communication. And I wanted to start out with the story. Now, some of you guys may have heard the story, but it hasn't been this detailed. And the story goes that I was out on a Thursday, coincidence, and I happened to have on a blue blazer, a blue shirt, and a blue tie. I was on my monochromatic stuff, as well as some gray trousers and some penny loafers. And I remember stepping out and meeting this guy. And he, looked me up and down. I was like, man, that's a dope look. Where'd you get it from? Now, I want to pause right there because I never have told anybody what the other guy was wearing. Now, the guy had a nice gray suit on, white shirt, brown tie. The dude had a logo on his belt that was Ferragamo and then also had it matching with the shoes. Something very, very subtle, but still prominent to make sure that we knew what he was wearing. And yet he was walking up to me asking me where I got my threads from. Now, if you have rocked with me, then you know that the story goes Goodwill. And he continued to ask me until the point that he got upset because I kept on telling him that I had gotten my Ralph Lauren linen double-breasted blazer from Goodwill. I spent $10 on it. And he had spent thousands of dollars on his whole ensemble. I believe his suit was Gucci or some designer there. And so he was labeling himself in a way and in a manner that he believed gave value to him. And so I wanted to talk about the importance of understanding what these labels actually represent. Now, when you're getting things like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Fendi, Ferragamo, even Hermes with the H on its belt, there is two things that generally happen. One, there is a status among middle class. So among the street cats, that is the hot thing, to get. And it is the hot thing because it is something that's inaccessible in the hood. It's inaccessible, in middle America a lot of times. These people can't afford the $800 price tag that comes with getting one type of belt. They can't afford the $1,500 price tag that could go with getting a pair of loafers, or $800 to $900 for getting a pair of sneakers. And this was before the Yeezys and all the other different types of sneakers came out. So this is a status symbol that comes into play. But what I've noticed is that when you're moving in through higher circles, whether it's aspirational or it is actually on a vocational practice because you're interacting with these people on a day-to-day basis, that actually looks garish, it looks gaudy, and it looks like you're trying too hard. And in recent years, it actually is going to question whether you actually have the funds or not. With the imitation and knockoff market becoming a billion-dollar industry in recent years, the likelihood that you got a real belt, even unless, not even, but unless you went to the actual store, is few and far between. So if you order something online, there's a strong likelihood that you have gotten a fake or a knockoff. And so then it ends up adding a certain level of inauthenticity to what you're wearing. Now, I'm not going to tell you I have any issue with you wearing, logo made types of pieces. For the longest time, I wanted the Gucci loafers that had the G's all over them with the leather horse bit buckle for Gucci. They were dope. I still think that they're cool, but they were a very gaudy, type of look. It definitely was saying, "Look at me." And so what ends up happening is if you are taking that thought process that I need a label in order to validate me or to show that I have value, then it becomes potentially problematic. Now, if you just like the design or you are a fan of the logo, hence low heads who just love Polo Ralph Lauren, then I'm not gonna hold you there. There's no issue, no cap. It's cool, do what you do. But a lot of people are buying these brands simply to show that they have status, when the elite and the people who they are aspiring to be like actually do everything that they can to overshadow their wealth and their riches by playing down certain elements while still maintaining the high level of taste. And how does this affect your wardrobe? Well, just think, if you have, a Louis V pair of sneakers, and you then want to wear a dope shirt, right? A dope polo, but that polo has G's all over it. We don't want to cross brand, you don't want to cross promote, so you have to start reinforcing the elements of that brand. And that's an unintended genius move of the brand. So if you got the shoes, you probably got to get the belt. If you get the belt, you probably want the polo or some type of dress shirt that's going to go with it. And then you're probably going to want the jeans. So then instead of you spending $1,500, you spent $4,000 or $5,000 on something that is very, very limiting in your wardrobe because it immediately draws attention. Part of the reason why people like blue and gray suits or blue and gray jackets is because they do not draw a lot of attention. But when you're wearing something that screams, "Hey, look at me," and you wear that 2 or 3 times in a row or on a frequent basis, then it draws the unwanted attention to it, and the person says like, "Oh, he must not have no money, or he must not have the access because he keeps on wearing these same looks over and over and over again." For me, it's more beneficial for you to have something that has no name, has some taste and some class and quality behind it. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, make sure that you check out Matt Hatter Monday's video where we're talking about value and quality. That link will be right here, and you'll start to understand I need to start making these different types of moves, because if you're understated, then you usually are going to have much more longevity than something that is going to put itself in the forefront. It's kind of like Frank Lucas said in American Gangster: if you're the loudest person in the room, you may be the weakest person in the room. So lastly, if you have spent this time mentally thinking about how you can show value to yourself, and then you're putting yourself on full display so that everybody can see you while you're saying, "Look at me," what does that ultimately communicate? Well, the energy that's going to often be behind any one of these, opulent, gaudy type of looks is, I'm trying to separate myself from the masses. So in effect, what you potentially could be doing is separating yourself from people that you actually want to connect with. And it also potentially either shows that you are newly rich, you're nouveau rich, or you have a little bit of money and you're just a consumer. So I told you about me meeting a millionaire who used to be one of the principal owners of Neiman Marcus. And one of the things that he said was true luxury is having the time and the means to do what it is that you would like to do. And he said it has nothing to do with material items. And I think that for a lot of people who don't have that time and that means to do what they want to do, they require material things in order to create validation. And there's nothing wrong with you having nice things and having things that you appreciate and that you worked hard for. You deserve them. But you should pay attention to the reasoning, the why behind why you're making these purchases. So even though Fashion Week may be saying that labels are back on trend, be careful about how you're labeling yourself. I just want you to try it on, see how it fits you. Leave me some comments in the comment box telling me what you think about this whole conversation, and answer this question of the day. What label would you put on yourself if you were putting it out there, and which brand would you associate that with? So what label would you say suave, smooth, cool, and what brand would you say actively represents that? I'd be curious to see if they have a big logo, small logo, or a logo at all. And let's keep this conversation going in the comment box. Leave a thumbs up if you found the information beneficial, and make sure that you share this with a friend. You may have that guy who's like, man, I'll only wear this brand or I'll only wear this logo, and this would be something good for them to start thinking about when they're going out and making their purchases. Again, not a good or a bad thing, a right or a wrong thing, just something to make you think as you're watching the trends. So above all, you know that I appreciate you, and you should never forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you, yes you, should always dress to express. I'll see you next time. Peace.